This week in the parish of bourses and market structure, trumped media Bakkt, NYSE plot defused, SEBI cleaves clearing, and the FCA is savaged by British MPs. My name is Patrick L. Young. Welcome to the Bourse Business Weekly Digest. It's the Exchange Invest Weekly Podcast, episode 273. Good day, ladies and gentlemen. This is a very brief reduction of highlights amongst the key headlines from the week in market structure. All the analysis of the many events and happenings from the past 7 days can be found in Exchange Invest's daily subscriber newsletter, the unique guide to the Bourse business sent daily to your inbox. More details at exchangeinvest.com. Over in BitCarnage, a little bit of a dirty underbelly to the crypto business as VCs, and indeed like PEs, they reckon they get vast amounts of the booty and thus despise the idea anybody else might get added leverage because that is their right. That said, I can also see sense in a push in crypto land recently. VC firm A16 pushes back on predatory crypto token deals, runs the Bloomberg headline, with a dubious underbelly where tokens live in the cryptosphere and either investors get no dilution clauses or indeed other bonuses. I can think of at least one listed crypto token entity where the original owner was not averse to offering significant incentives in tokens to investors, for example. Hopefully, A16Z can clear up a rather dubious market, although with crypto having peaked over $95,000 and looking close to $100,000 as I record this podcast, a lot of folks are getting wildly excited. If you enjoyed this excerpt, you may be interested to know that you can read BitCarnage every day in Exchange Invest. Alternatively, if you want to follow BitCarnage, the daily update on happenings in the world of crypto and digital assets, you can find it as a standalone BitCarnage on Substack. Over in the world of exchanges themselves, a wild story of a plot to bomb the New York Stock Exchange was defused by the FBI this week with the suspect in custody. Elsewhere, the WFI conference, that's the World Federation of Exchanges, the self-proclaimed, but not necessarily World Federation of Exchanges, they had as a special guest at their event in Kuala Lumpur, the esteemed English anthropologist, primatologist Jane Goodall. The brilliant Miss Goodall pointed out that it was important to recognise that anything on Earth could become extinct, including humanity. Personally, I found it richly amusing that the WFI delegates nodded sagely and have shared this revelation widely on social media, without even, upon reflection, seeing the irony of their own association's precarious position as the exchange world evolves and the WFI dog barks irrelevantly. Meanwhile, big news from Hong Kong as they celebrated the 10th anniversary of the Connect programs with gusto. Worrying news from SEBI. As it says in a draft paper, clearing corporations need to be seen to be truly independent of exchanges, particularly in such interoperable segments, so that there is a level playing field across market infrastructure institutions, MIIs, with no perception of any perverse conflict of interest. They've invited public comments by December 13th. Oh dear, surely the perversion is the SEBI inability to let market infrastructures operate without ludicrous impediments. The forcible dilution of exchange holdings and equity CSDs amounts to yet another example of the socialist repressive dogma which has blighted Indian capital market development at the hands of the regressive SEBI. One interesting development to a market, the OTC Markets Group are launching Moon ATS, a new overnight trading platform, not just for the OTC Group stock, but also National Market Systems Securities. That's a very interesting development because, of course, that also means that the subscription model of OTC Group is expanding more towards execution income as OTC markets try to get in on the exciting world first populated by blue ocean trading with great gusto in recent months. On the ratings front, there's no immediate ratings impact to Cantor BGC and the related businesses such as FMX from the departure of their CEO, Howard Lutnick, to become the Trade Secretary in the USA. Meanwhile, one person who actually wants a new clearing corporation, even if they're going to have a de minimis stake eventually and will have to be diluted according to the proposed new crazy SEBI laws, the Calcutta Stock Exchange. They're trying to get back into the trading business after an 11-year hiatus, and they're hoping that they can add a clearing corporation CSD to that as well. Meanwhile, it was a busy week for results in the parish. We had results from Moscow, Tel Aviv and Manila this week. All the details were in Exchange Invest, the newsletter you can't afford to be without if you're serious about the bourse business. Subscribe now with a free 7-day trial via exchangeinvest.com. In new markets, gosh, very exciting news. Nouakchott is going to have a stock exchange, ladies and gentlemen. Where is that? It's the capital of Mauritania in Africa. The weird thing is, it was announced by the central bank governor ringing the bell to open a session of trading at the London Stock Exchange, and the London Stock Exchange seems to be the partner into this entity. Now, hold on a second. As Wikipedia notes, the economy of Mauritania is still largely based on agriculture, slave labour and livestock. With GDP per head at under $2,500, I think it's fantastic the government wants to open a stock exchange in the capital, Nouakchott. But I'm bewildered. Just what on earth can the LSEG really offer in practical assistance to such a micro market? Deal news this week. Well, multiple things happening. Very, very interesting. Some highlights for the sake of this podcast. Donald Trump's Truth Social Media Group is in talks to buy the crypto trading venue Bakkt. Since the departure of founder CEO Kelly Loeffler, I've somewhat despaired of the direction of Bakkt. A tie-up with Trump Media could open a new chapter for the platform. Meanwhile, NYSE, the New York Shipping Exchange, they've announced the first close of a Series C funding round led by Collate Capital. They're also collaborating with ICE to launch a new freight rate index. And Abex, once again closing yet more funding, another tranche, this time 2.1 million, a first tranche of strategic financing, that's 2.1 million Canadian dollars. When it comes to understanding funding and what's been going on with the capital market revolution, Exchange Invest is proud to have launched a special edition of Capital Market Revolution, inspired by my visit to ring the closing bell at the New York Stock Exchange, July the 5th, 2024. My original bestseller, that's me, Patrick L. Young, Capital Market Revolution, was the first breakthrough book in fintech. A decade before that word held common currency, with over 10,000 new words of additional pith, placing the past quarter century in perspective alongside the original text, which has proven remarkably successful throughout the years. Capital Market Revolution 25th Anniversary Edition is published by Exchange Invest and is now available as an ebook via Amazon Kindle at a ludicrously reasonable price of $9.99, a quarter the price of the original shorter print book a quarter century ago. Go out and grab your copy now on Kindle, please. If you fancy some financial insights with moving pictures, don't forget to check out our live stream. Tuesdays 5 p.m. London time, midday New York time. It's the IPO Video Live Show. Catch the back episodes on LinkedIn and YouTube by IPO-VID. Most recently, we had a cracking show, IPO-VID 162, bringing CLO to your investment flow with a fabulous guest, Shiloh Bates. And we're going to start looking back on the year in the week ahead. IPO-VID 163 is going to be the highlights of the year, part 1. Our guest this week on IPO-VID, Shiloh Bates, was actually surfing in Nicaragua when he joined us for the show, and appropriately enough, our finance book of the week is Mellow Your Money, How to Surf the Market and Build Wealth Without Stressing Yourself Out by Mick Heyman, who was our IPO-VID guest on episode 160. Check out his book. Something that's more than just balancing your books. It's about balancing your perspective so your money can work for you and bring you peace of mind while reducing those daily worries and anxiety. Over in product news this week, CME Group are going to launch mortgage rate futures in January 2025, an interesting product which can't hurt all mortgage product investments already made by, the Intercontinental Exchange. European bond futures been given a clean bill of health. They're going to succeed despite issuance doubts, so said the head of ICE Europe this week. Undeterred by a lot of different SEBI crackdowns in recent weeks, BSE, the Bombay Stock Exchange, they're going to be expanding the futures and options segment with 43 new stocks, just as SEBI is, of course, trying to restrict speculation in the futures and options business. Then there's also news that the SEBI are going to launch the first cash-settled options product relating to spot Bitcoin beginning on Monday, the 2nd of December. Now, there's a fascinating conundrum. Bitcoin is the ubiquitous means for future finance, pronounces its acolytes. So we're going to trade the options against cash fiat in the traditional OCC manner. Thanks for listening to Exchange Invest Weekly. We welcome your feedback. You can contact me directly, patrick@derivativesvision.com, with any comments. Meanwhile, if you enjoyed this show, we would welcome you giving us a thumbs up
Or, if you have time, a positive review will always be welcome, wherever you find this podcast.
In technology news, as I mentioned earlier, rumours abound that the Truth social entity backed by Donald Trump may be bidding for ICE's rudderless crypto concepts platform Bakkt. With ICE having taken a back seat while maintaining a significant share, it could be an easy way to remove the platform, which looked promising under its initial inaugural management team, but is permanently flattered to deceive under management who subsequently, despite several reboots, could never deliver much confidence in the firm's ability to flourish. So frustrating, as there were so many potential avenues in the original concept, but at the same time there was no coherent, mature institutional business in crypto, which was also a key setback. DataBP, congratulations to them, Mark Shadle, another great IPO-VID alumnus. He's announced an agreement with Miami International Holdings to optimize their market data services. And ESMA, they're proposing a move to T+1 settlement by, hold your breath, ladies and gentlemen, no, don't hold your breath, it's going to be far too long, October 2027. The end of that month, that means a mere T+1 and 1,250 additional days after the USA, the European Union regulator might catch up with where the business is at. In regulation, the US SEC, for all you might complain about Gary Gensler, he obtained record financial remedies during fiscal 2024. Like him or loathe him, he obtained $8.2 billion for the government coffers, something that must have been quite handy given the spendthrift nature of the Joe Brezhnev regime. In the UK, not such an encouraging picture. The FCA is incompetent. The Financial Conduct Authority is incompetent at best, dishonest at worst, according to a scathing report by MPs and Lords that calls for a major overhaul of the watchdog. What a shambles. Frankly, the FCA is turning out to be a remarkable blob area disaster. But then again, it's part of the British government, which is itself an entire blob area disaster. Over in career paths, the highlight was, of course, the fact that SEC Chairman Gary Gensler is going to be departing exactly as scheduled at the change of the regime, as we always said it would be. And a large number of people refused to believe in the media because they were busy trying to chase clicks rather than reporting on the truth, like Exchange Invest. Meanwhile, Donald Trump's pick of Howard Lutnick to run the Commerce Department I mentioned earlier, and it was a bad day for former senior official at China's securities regulator Zhu Congyu, who was sentenced to life in prison last week for taking copious quantities of bribes. The Aquis Exchange chair has stepped down for personal reasons. Farewell to Glenn Collinson, but I'm also delighted to welcome his successor, the former Irish Stock Exchange CEO Deirdre Somers, who will, I am sure, make a magnificent Aquis chairman while the sixth takeover is completed. In a big world, I have no idea when they will finally have all the votes counted for the US elections of 2024. They still haven't managed it by the time we record this podcast weeks later. But one big data point is key to the future, ladies and gentlemen. 45 million Americans tuned into YouTube and other online platforms. By contrast, 42.3 million US folks tuned into the old-fashioned goggle box to have a squiz at the results on television. True, the lunacy of COVID lockdowns may have helped the 56.9 million viewer number in 2020, but the trend is overwhelmingly clear. The news is online now, and frankly, can anyone be surprised given the quality of prevailing television networks like CNN and MSNBC? And on that mysterious and magnificent note, thank you for listening to this Exchange Invest Weekly Podcast, number 273. Join us daily via exchangeinvest.com, or if you're a new exchange you'd like built, get in touch. My name is Patrick Elyarn, and I wish you a great week in life and markets.
This show relates to the business of bourses. It is not to be construed as investment advice, nor are we making any investment recommendations. Please consult an investment advisor before you make any investments, and for goodness sake, do your due diligence and do not make investments without complying with the regulations in your home state. Exchange Invest cannot be held responsible for any investment decisions made as a result of our program, which is for entertainment purposes only. The material herein is copyright Patrick L. Young at the date of publication, while our music and sound effects are sourced from copyright-free sources. Thanks for listening to Exchange Invest Weekly, the exchange of information.